Can everybody hear me out there? Is the microphone on? I think it is. Thank you all for being here on a day when UK football and basketball are playing simultaneously. For you to come here and be with us on this very special day says a lot. Thank you very much indeed. There's a lot of places we could be today, but I think this is truly one that's really special. 1995, Aviation Museum of Kentucky opened. Up until this year, we were next door. And now we're here, almost double the square footage. Isn't that incredible? Let's just clap for that. Yeah. My name is Steve Parker. Spent 30 years as an Air Force pilot, and when I retired in 2000, I got a call one day from a guy named Wendell Murphy. I picked up the phone. He said, "Steve, this is Wendell. Is this a bad time?" Right? That's what he always said. So I spent the next 4 years as executive director of the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. I've had a blessed life, got a great job now, all the time in the Air Force. But 4 of the best years of my life were right here at the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. Because of the people I met, and if you keep taking pictures, it's going to make me nervous. Make sure I'm looking straight ahead so I can smile and not look. I look kind of goofy if I'm, whatever, yeah. The people and the impact that this museum had when I was here and is having today. Do you understand the impact that this great facility has on our community and our state, and really our nation? We do tours, right? We have speakers programs. We provide speakers to schools. We have the Kentucky Aviation Hall of Fame. If you're a visitor here and you've not had a chance to see all the Kentuckians or near Kentuckians, native Kentuckians that have been enshrined since '96, it's amazing. Names that you all know, but some of you don't know they're Kentuckians, right? Make sure you see that before you go. Aviation Hall of Fame. Preserving history, aviation history. When you preserve aviation history, you're preserving American history, right? Because when people walk through this museum and they learn about the airplanes, they're really learning about the history of this great country, right? So, but I think the thing that the Aviation Museum of Kentucky does better than anything else is impact young lives. With the summer aviation camp program that's been going on since 1996, I don't know the number of students total that have gone through it, but it is dramatic and significant. There you go. See, I'll just throw the question out and somebody's going to answer it. Thank you, Robert Riggs. Over 4,000. Today, in this state, there are 15 high schools that are teaching aviation in their high school curricula. 15. 5 more on the waiting list. In 2004, do you know how many there were? 1. And at the kernel of that, at the genesis of that amazing aviation education development, I guess I'll call it, is the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. They're touching and influencing lives, students that may go on to be astronauts or air traffic controllers or aircraft mechanics or pilots, but more importantly, they'll have an appreciation for aviation and maybe they'll take more math, science, and physics, right? It's a big deal, right? We have 4 speakers lined up. They'll be brief and eloquent, I'm sure. And then we'll cut the ribbons, all right? So be patient with us. The first speaker I'm going to introduce is Dr. Ray Garman, who's the chair, not so fast, sir. Okay, come on up. Chairman of the Board of Trustees. Now, before we had a little pregame meeting, and I said, well, I'm going to introduce them one at a time. We have so many distinguished guests, he's going to introduce most of them. He said, you need to introduce them in order of best looks, right? Now, so I reversed it. He used to be an Air Force flight surgeon, 30 years as an Air Force pilot. Every time I get around him, I have the urge to bend over. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you understand what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ray Garman.
How'd you like to follow a speaker like that? Well, we do have an aviation museum, it's not just a collection of aircraft. It's not just a wonderful aviation library. It's not just great aviation memorabilia. We are indeed this. But more importantly, we are, above all, dedicated volunteers, and you'll meet some of them later. We enjoy a supportive aviation community, and we have support from local government and industry, all combined to produce the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. As Steve indicated, a museum for all, not just those with the aviation mindset, and for youth. A prime mission of ours is instruction and indoctrination of young youth in the aviation mission. And we're here for people who want to maintain the culture of aviation history, and for those who want to touch airplanes, and those that desire research, and those who want a special site for their event. Yes, so we have some more folks to talk to you, and I'm going to give you some more visitor recognition in a few minutes.
Our next speaker is a great partner of this museum. He's the chairman of the Bluegrass Airport Board, Mr. Richard Hopgood. Sir?
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Bluegrass Airport Board, we are very pleased to be a part of the Aviation Museum and their move to this location. It would not have happened from the Airport Board's part without the effort of Eric Frankel, our executive director, and his staff, who take a personal interest in the Aviation Museum and work very closely with them. The Aviation Museum is present at every one of our meetings. It's a great part of our airport. We view it as a part of the airport, and we've worked very hard to support them, and we will continue to support the Aviation Museum in every way we can. And again, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The next speaker is one of the distinguished young men in our entire community. Oh, wait a minute, he couldn't make it. The next speaker is Eric Frankel, Executive Director of the Bluegrass Airport.
I know someday I'm going to get the opportunity to return that favor. Thank you so much it's my honor to be here today, and on behalf of the entire airport staff, not just the airport staff, but the airlines, the FBOs, and certainly our board have been tremendous partners in helping with this project. And I'll tell you, when I came here almost 3 years ago now, and people said that there was a museum on the field, and this is my fourth airport, and I thought, okay, we've sort of had one of my other airports, and you go over there and you see a plane or two, but mostly you see, photos and maybe some newspaper clippings. But when I went over to the older facility, the previous facility, I was absolutely amazed how much this museum has to offer, not only for adults, but for young people and older people alike. So it was a tremendous opportunity, I think, for the airport to transition into this larger facility and even add more value for the museum. So we are very, very blessed to have you here, and we're grateful for the opportunity to be here today. And again, on behalf of all of our staff and the board, thank you very much and congratulations.
Amen. I joke around with Eric because he's a good friend, but I have a lot of friends who work for him, and let me tell you, to the person, they admire him greatly, and he's doing a tremendous job of running this airport, which is one of the finest of its sizes in America. I know, I've been to most of them. We are blessed to have it here with this leadership team. You can clap for that if you'd like. Yeah. You'd think there was an airport around here or something, huh? The next speaker, without this man, this would not be happening today. The museum would not have opened in 1995. The founder, one of the co-founders, and the president of the Aviation Museum of Kentucky, you all know him, you all love him, Dr. George Gumbert. Dr. Gumbert.
Watch those steps, they're a little tricky for a kid like me even. I want to introduce one person first. He is not our guest speaker, but he's the senior man here. He's from Cincinnati. And Tom Griffin, will you please stand up? Tom, right there. Tom is one of 5 remaining members of the Doolittle Tokyo Raiders. Thank you. Tom said he would come, but he didn't want to make a speech. But I want you to know just a little bit about him, and I'm going to take a minute or two to tell you about him, because a lot of you people are too young. You weren't even born when the Doolittle Tokyo raid took place. Let me tell you, folks, early in World War II, when the Japanese attacked us, we were getting the hell beat out of us. We'd been run out of the Philippines. We were being run out of the Philippines. They were landing in Alaska, for God's sake. Now, you all get a book on the Doolittle Tokyo raid, and you get another book about early World War II. I'm talking to you young people now and those who think you're young. Read up on this. We were getting the hell kicked out of us for about 6 months. And the president and some others came up and said, we can't keep... They'd taken Guam. They had taken... the Philippines, gone. And back then, Philippines was our possession. We were in the process of freeing them. But they were even in 2 islands in Alaska. So the president said, we got to do something. About that time, a submarine man came in and said, hey, I think we can bomb Japan. Well, we didn't have an airplane that would get there. And so to keep it simple, they were talking to this Navy guy, and he said we can put him on a carrier and get up close to Japan and go over and bomb and then go on into China. Well, the Japanese had the whole seacoast of China then, and were in a couple of 100 miles in some places. So they had to overfly the Japanese to get to safe territory. So here was the problem. We didn't have an airplane that could take off. And what did they do? They kept it simple. They tried checked the performance of all of our airplanes, and they decided that the B-25, the Mitchell B-25, could probably do it. So they sent out the call for volunteers, and very early on, a good thing happened. Jimmy Doolittle heard about it, and they called him in. He was called the master of the uncalculated risk. He was a guy that had set all kinds of speed records. He'd done everything an airplane would do, and a lot of things an airplane wouldn't do, like an outside loop. And so he, and the other ironic part is there was a Navy guy who was part of the planning, and he was very important in planning the idea with the General Chief of Staff in Washington and even Roosevelt. So what did they do? They chose Doolittle to lead the effort to plan and execute this mission. And they were going to go up to about 250, 300 miles of Japan, take off, bomb Japan, fly into China. And there were 16 airplanes, yeah. And they cut the crew down to 5 men each, and they started training for it. Well, I'm skipping over some of this stuff here, but what happened, to make a long story short, a Japanese patrol boat discovered them about 700 or 800 miles out. And they knew the patrol boat had probably warned the Japanese. Well, he did, but the Japs said, well, they're 800 miles. Navy ships can't hurt us from that range. It'd take them 3 days to get here. So they sort of ignored it. And so the guys got a lot of 5-gallon cans, the flyers did, And by the way, they had chosen Doolittle to lead the raid. He was supposed to be the planner because he was a master at that. But he said, I want to go. I want to lead this raid. And they said, okay, Jimmy, you got it. Well, they got 5-gallon cans, and they put them in the aisles of the little narrow passageways, every bit of gas they could get on the things, and loaded them up. And the way they were going to do it, a Navy man had figured this out a couple of years before. Put the planes on the carrier, head them into the wind, opened the carrier up wide open, and they were flying 50 miles an hour sitting there. So they knew they could get off, even if they were overloaded. Well, what happened? Let's see, next page. They bombed Japan. Most of them got on into China. Some of them were captured. A couple of them were shot down. One went to Vladivostok in Russia. But all the planes got through Japan and dropped their bombs and got westward before they had any trouble. Yeah, I'm skipping some more here. Anyway, most of them wound up in Japan, and they were well received by the Chinese, and a lot of them were sent back here to retrain. And there were 80 airmen and 16 airplanes. They're down to about 5 now out of the 80. And we've got one sitting right there who just stood for you, Tom Griffin, one of those 80 people who did that. And I remember it well. I was in my early teens then, and we'd gotten our rear ends kicked all over the Pacific, run out of 5 different areas. We were losing the war. So anyway, it was the biggest uplift that we could have gotten. And you know what happened. We started arming and building up our Navy. We lost, I've forgotten how many Navy ships at Pearl Harbor when they bombed that to start the war. So anyway, that's who Tom Griffin is, and I just wanted you all to appreciate it. Tonight is the first dedication of our second facility. We had persuaded, Skip and I met the Raiders in up at Air Force Base. Up in Ohio? What is it? Wright-Patterson, yeah. And about 8 or 9 months when they were choosing their next meeting place, we went up and we'd already met several of the people, but we talked to them and persuaded them to come here in 1995 and hold their annual convention in April, right on the anniversary. It was April 18th, right on the anniversary of the raid, which is what they do every year. And so they agreed to come, and that was a real coup, I think, because it's opened up some friendships that exist till today and those that are left. But we had a great meeting, and Skip and I went to every meeting every year till she passed away. We went to 6 or 7. We got to go to Europe twice with Tom. We took them over to Normandy. They had never been. That is, as survivors. They were losing a few every year. But we had 26 Raiders here and some of their family, some of the widows. Well, that's enough talk about that. I just wanted you to appreciate who Tom Griffin is, and he's here to help us celebrate. Let's see, what else am I supposed to do besides shut up? He said you're supposed to shut up, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gumbert. It's my pleasure now to turn it back over to Dr. Ray Garman, the chairman of the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. He has some folks to identify and some very special announcements.
We do have some special people here. You've already met some of them, but we have Story Musgrave here, and you'll hear lots about him shortly thereafter. We're so pleased to have Attorney General Edward Tonini here, He outranks me, so he has to be acknowledged.
You want Story to stand up? I don't know who he is.
Story? Story, you didn't stand up?
Dr. Musgrave, stand up so they know who you are.
State Senator Robert Stiver's in the back there with these lights. I can't see him. Senator Stiver. Wynn Turney, the Commissioner of Aviation, is back there. Wynn, there he is. Regina Crawford from Senator McConnell's office. And our state representative is here. I can't see him. Where are you? Carl Rollins is here. They'll be with us. Mayor Jim Gray was here and had to leave. And from VFA 32, flew up here from Oceana, Virginia, to let us look at their aircraft. Commander Chad Villancente and Captain Mike Wallace. And from a special donor just this weekend, the Fleet Foundation. Ms. Fleet? Thought they had a rep here? So, we have lots of folks that, there she is, there. We have the Board of Trustees that, Dick Wood, our Vice Chairman, and the other members of the Board of Trustees of the Aviation Museum. Will you stand up for us? I'm here. Dick's over there. They're a bashful group. We have 3 officers serving the museum. Dr. George Gumbert, you met, our president, Marty Chandler, our secretary, and Ed Murphy, our treasurer. Folks? Yeah. In the back. The way these airplanes get moved, we have time on Tuesday night when a bunch of volunteers come in and make things happen. They also help set up the exhibits. I'll introduce our exhibit chair in a minute, but our Tuesday night crew, John Bales, they do the heavy lifting. They move the aircraft and do lots of other stuff. Tuesday night crew, stand up for me. And if we didn't have our docents and our greeters up front walking our people through, we wouldn't have a true museum. So they welcome, educate our visitors. They're the front lines. Docents and greeters, please stand up and be recognized. And let me just specify a few people that really make it happen for us. Jim McCormick runs our membership services. He's over here. Oh, Jim. Every museum has a few people who make it happen and do everything that's not on the list of duties. Jim's one of those. Another one of those is Ed Murphy, our treasurer, standing in the back, runs the Aviation Museum's summer camps and the Saturday program, and it was one of the basic organizer of the events today and this evening. Ed Murphy. Gary Campbell has the title of auditor, but he does everything and makes it happen. Gary, where are you? He's shy too. Cliff Denny has the unenviable job of scheduling the docents, some of whom go to Florida in the winter. Cliff Denny. And then another group that makes everything happen, including the gift shop, David and Paula Fry. Mike Malone is our exhibits chair, lots of work, Tuesday night crew, all other times. Mike, where are you? We have a great library. Don Schabel took care of that, wrote our newsletter, which will, for that, the baton will be passed for Pam Edwards next year. And he just helps everything. It's one of the mainstays of the move from the other building to the other, to this one, Don Schabel. Oh, he's in the door. There he is. Marty Schaller and Margie Riggs. They work with, I do a little bit, but they do most of the heavy lifting outside with landscaping, and Margie helps with our signs. So Marty Schaller and Margie Riggs, where are you? Everybody's seen the Korea movie that was so famous, where they had Radar O'Reilly. We have a Radar O'Reilly. We have Jerry Landreth. Whatever needs to be done, Jerry makes it happen. Jerry. And among the other great person who helped the move happen, also helpful in this events today, and a special friend to me because he tells me when I'm screwing up, Frank Peters. We have something special for you. Former employees who from Delta, Eastern, and Piedmont Airlines, the first commercial carriers to serve Bluegrass, are here. The museum member and former station manager for Eastern Airlines, Bob Cole, has arranged for several of these individuals to be with us today. So, Bob, will you and the group from the commercial airlines with first service here at Bluegrass, please stand up for us. We couldn't do this event, we couldn't have the museum without support from some of the sponsors. They're listed on the back of your program. We also couldn't do it without people that flew in some of the planes that are outside for you to look at that I hope you'll see after this mission. And we really couldn't do it without TAC Air and Kip Semanek. TAC Air, the former occupants of this building, have built a new building and allowed us to move in here along with the airport. We couldn't do it. TAC Air has been of great help to us. TAC Air Group, I didn't see it, but really good. And as you know, we couldn't do it without the Bluegrass Airport. Our landlord, our benefactors, our friends, and they help us in every way we can. They're our second list of volunteers, Bluegrass Airport. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Garman. Well done. He had a difficult task. So many people to recognize, so many people are instrumental in making this happen. If we've missed anybody that's truly important, go ahead and stand up now. We'll give you a round of applause. Nobody? Okay. Isn't there something special about an Air Force guy in a uniform? Doesn't he look good? Jump to me? Yeah, that's good stuff. He gave me $20 to say that. All right, here we go. What? Jerry Vandenberg? Roger Barber, one of the finest aviation historians I know, mentions that there might be some original members of the Kentucky Aviation History Roundtable, which really was a precursor to this museum. Right, George? Began meeting in the 70s, I believe, 78? Right, 73 or 4 in the 70s. Anybody here from the original Kentucky Aviation History Roundtable? Win Turney, I know. George Gumbert, Robert Riggs, Jack Baugh. Okay. I'm a little bit blinded by the light, so, but. Yes, sir.
I've got a gentleman with me by the name of Warren Vandenberg. And Mr. Bolander was a glider pilot during World War II, and he's one of the few left in the world.
Amen. Thank you for doing that. Did you stand up? Yes. You want to make a speech now, sir? Is that the thing?
Start in St. Louis when I was in high school,
Right.
and I worked for Griffin, Jimmy Doolittle, and the Shell Oil Company.
No, man. Wow. Sir? Yeah. He began in St. Louis, if you didn't hear it, and one of his bosses was Jimmy Doolittle for the Shell Oil Company. Reference back to the Doolittle Raiders. When I was in ROTC in 1971 as a senior, I went to an Air Force ROTC conclave, and I have a picture today that I have framed in my house with young Parker. I know, hard to believe, work with me. Young Parker, Jimmy Doolittle on one side, and Chappie James on the other. Jimmy Doolittle was but you know what? I do 3 or 4 public speaking events a month in this state, and every time I talk about World War II veterans. You guys are my heroes. I think about the things I did in my time in the military. I did nothing compared to what you did. God bless you for serving this great nation. How many other World War II vets do we have out there? Bob Cole, World War II vets. These are the folks that went through the Great Depression. They saved the world and they rebuilt the world. So God bless you all for that. I'm going to try to get us back on track here. Well, who cares? When we're honoring World War II vets, who really cares, right? All right. Now, what we're going to do is Jerry Vandermeer. No, Jerry Vandermeer's here. Is that right? Jerry, stand up. That's enough, Jerry. Sit down. Good job. Great friend, great supporter of the Aviation Museum, now holds a lofty position as a commissioner in state government, and truly one of the nicest guys that I've ever met. And I tried to read that the same way you wrote it, Jerry, so I hope it's pretty good. Good to see you, buddy. We're gonna cut the ribbon right now. Dr. Garman, you ready to do that? Oh yeah, right. We read 2. Oh, this is good. You go to a lot of places with a ribbon cutting, and they cut 1 ribbon. Not here. We're going to cut 2 ribbons. The first ribbon, we're going to have Tom Griffin, original Doolittle Raider, and Dr. Gumbert, co-founder of this museum, cut a ribbon. See that blue one right there? All right, if you have to stand up, go ahead. That ribbon is the original ribbon that was used in 1995 when the Doolittle Raiders were here and cut the ribbon to open the doors of this place. How cool is that, right? And Dr. Gumbert and Tom Griffin were there on that day, and now they're going to cut a remaining piece of the original ribbon. So whenever you're ready, I'll give you a 3, 2, 1 cut, Dr. Gumbert, so the photographers are all ready. Look at the paparazzi. This is amazing. Okay, don't cut yet. 3, 2, 1, cut. For any of you young people that are here or any of you old people, if it's possible, I'm not sure if Tom is going to be available, but if you can get a picture with him afterwards, you will not regret that photo. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. But don't sit down, because now we're going to cut the official rededication ribbon dedicating this new space with this new spirit in the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. We want Dr. Garman to be up there. Mr. Hopgood, Eric Frankel, Dr. Gumbert, Tom Griffin. Let's see, Mr. Rollins, would you please, sir? Story Musgrave. And wait till you hear about Story. You all know who Story Musgrave is, right? One of America's most famous people, 6 times in space. He's a guest speaker tonight. If you can come back, it's amazing. Dr. Story Musgrave is there. And I want to get Bob Cole. Can someone get Bob Cole over there? Bob Cole is the heart and soul of this museum, always has been. Just give us just a moment to get Bob over. He's coming. When I was working here and kids would come in this museum, they would leave with a smile on their face because Bob Cole would be there to put them in a simulator and teach them about aviation. I do not know a finer man than Bob Cole. Anybody agree with that? When you get Bob in position, once again, gentlemen, I'll give you a 3, 2, 1 cut, so we all cut at the same time. Photographers at the ready. Just a ribbon, no fingers. That works. All right, everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, cut. Oh, military precision. Well done. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate that very much. That concludes the ceremony. Just a couple things. The museum is closing today at 4 p.m., 1600 for you military types. Remember, whatever you do, do something to support this museum. If you know a teacher, tell the teacher about this museum. If you own a business or you work in a business that's looking for some way to put some of your funds to do a righteous thing for our community, support the Aviation Museum. Be a business that sponsors one of the summer camps. Change some young lives. This is good stuff out here, folks. So please consider doing that. Whenever the president of the museum walks up, or the chairman of the board, that means I have to stop talking, right? So thank you very much.
No, just if you want the special place for an event in the next year or so, you're sitting in it.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Come and see our airplanes.
That's right. We rent the museum out for special events. Thank you all. Be careful. Go home. Wynn, you got to make an announcement? Yes. Amen. When Turney made the point, we've lost a lot of people along the way since the aviation, the roundtable, and then now today to open his new facility, but 3 in particular that Wynn mentioned, 3 people that are very special to me. The co-founder, Wendell Murphy, and Skip Gumbert, and Alice McCormick. How wonderful they were. God bless them all, and thank you for coming. Astronaut, scientist, engineer, aviator, but most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great American. Dr. Story Musgrave.
There you go, Jim. So that's me working out there. I'm a farm kid, remember? Fixing that telescope. Talking's going to be real easy tonight because Jim is lip syncing for me back there. Now that's the clock. I'm going to sit down whether I'm done or not. So that was me working on the telescope out there. I was a farm kid. I was a enlisted airplane mechanic. Then I was a trauma surgeon. You know the problem with that. Fix farm equipment, fix airplanes, fix people. They toss you up there. I had to fix that thing up there. So this is just, I'll give you a quick little zero-G dive, the fun of being out there. Thanks very much, Jim. That'll take care of that. You asked for it, so you asked for that. Now someone heard me. Yeah, someone asked me for that. They said the kid on the beach. Well, I told them I'm not bringing a kid on the beach. I'm bringing a couple other kids. So that's what I'm up about. I'm really glad to be here. Fantastically glad to be here. Back with a museum. People have got incredible spirit, and the kind of stuff you're doing here, congratulations on your new facility. Congratulations to the people that helped to make this happen. Congratulations, and thank you so much for the honor of my being part of this. As you'll hear, Kentucky means a whole lot to me. It was incredibly important to my own aviation heritage and where I went in life, and so I would not have been able to do what I did with NASA without the kind of things I did here. It's so nice to run into all the friends, so many friends that are here tonight that I did things with, and some really exciting things in the past. So I'm fantastically glad to be here. I love the program I came up with for you tonight. I did the program this morning, and well, I just finished the program up in the conference room before I came down here. That's a live program. I started at 2 a.m. this morning. So 2 a.m. is a bad habit, you know, but how do you get things done? So I got a fun program for you. It's a whole bunch of aviation, some really good aviation. I got some space gee whiz in there for you too. We got to do that, but I'm really excited about the stuff I got. So it's really gonna get me get me rolling along. So forks in the road. That's been my whole life, as you'll see. Endless forks in the road. Never finished school, you know. Don't know what's going on. Bus left me off at the barn, picked me up at the barn. I had no books, so me and the book started a company. Where do we go here? Well, career came up, I'll go join the Marine Corps. Fork in the road. What do you do with that? Well, it was an incredibly important fork in the road. People ask me, you always wanted to be an astronaut? I have to remind them in the 1930s, if I had wanted to be an astronaut, I'd been in real trouble. So there were none. I got my first personal computer, I'm 50. And the kids say, what, sorry? A man like you, and you were that primitive, you didn't get a personal computer at the age of 50? I can't if there aren't any. You know, life happens. You get ready, and get on a playing field, and the way it goes. So that's the metaphor of a fork in the road. I'm at UCLA, and I'm in computers, operations research. I knew that world. I was hardware and a programmer, but I understood how the nervous system works. How's the brain work? So I said, my goodness, you're going to leap off again? Yeah, I'm going to leap off again. I understand computers, but how's the brain work? So, okay, pre-med, Columbia, and away you go. And I think I got a career. I think my career is in neurosurgery, neurophysiology, but my goodness, Sputnik goes up in space, happens, you know. And then National Academy of Science and NASA put their heads together about flying people with formal education to get more back from space flights. Oh my God, here we go again. I'm a space person now. So I left the clinical trade, you know. It's terrible. So I'm doing another one now. But anyway, so that's what forks in the road is. So it's a neat lesson in personal development, and you're all going to do that. You're in the middle of doing it right now, and you'll do it again. You'll do it when you do it in your 70s, ma'am. It never stops. You just keep doing the forks in the road, and the fork in the road puts you on a different playing field. You're on a different playing field. It's brand new. What are the rules of this game? And what do I have to know to get the job done? You know, how do I need to be proficient? How do I need to get to the goal, the right result, the right outcome? So that's opportunities and that's challenges. And I think the huge privilege in life is given enough opportunities and given challenges to be the best you could. So challenges are so important. I've led an incredibly blessed life. I did, when I jumped in, do the best I could, but it's also timing and it's luck. I've been given a huge number of opportunities and challenges to be on some playing field, being the best I could. But most of all tonight, we're going to have fun. We are going to have fun tonight. So I've designed a program principally to have fun. We're going to have a whole bunch of fun. So fun is very important. So that is the posture of exploration. A lot of you know me. It's amazing. It's such a privilege that I meet you, and you told me, you heard me at the last induction, or you heard me this, or you heard me 20 years ago, you heard me 30 years ago, and run to people, but you like the kid on the beach. So for those of you to ask me, you begged me to bring the kid on the beach again tonight. It's not a beach, but that's me. That's me 73 years ago on my farm, Western Massachusetts. People say there's no farms in Massachusetts. Yeah, it was a dairy farm. I had 200 head of milking cows. And the farm was very important. So I rode the combines at age 3. I rode the balers at age 3. I mean, age 5. I'm 5 in the 1930s. Why would I ride a baler? Because in the 1930s, the bales couldn't tie the knots. Square bales, you know, twine like that, and the hay is shoved into it, ties the knots, so the bales couldn't tie the knots. 1930s, tying a knot with twine is a very difficult problem. So they're creative on a farm. They took my swing off the old oak tree, and they put it on the baler. 5 years old, if the machine didn't tie the knot, I'm supposed to tie it. So I learned how to tie knots fast. One end of the twine, needle nose pliers that way, that way. You know, George just like tying a knot with a pair of forceps. So I was learning the job easy, and pull that and tighten it up before the machine would take my hands off in the next cycle. OSHA not like this process. Don't worry, there is no OSHA, so we're okay, we're in the clear. So I started on 5. By the age of 9, I drove every tractor, every truck, everything on the place, even on the highways. You know, I'll be driving down the road, I got 10 tons of hay behind me. The state police see the truck going down the road, they don't see ahead. There's a truck going by itself. They stop the truck and they look at me. Young man, you know, you could not be 16. No, sir, I'm 12. All he can do is shake his head and walk away. Got to get the job done, right? By 12 or 13, I keep the stuff going. I keep the machinery going. So that's me on the farm. That's me on the farm out there. But the other part about that was that I was out in nature too. I love nature. I love Mother Earth, and that played an important part. I love it when I got machinery around. You know how much I love machinery? I just love machinery. I'm going to show you some real machines too. It's just nice, you know, have machinery. You know, I'm in the middle of some city, and some airplane goes up ahead. I'm on a sidewalk, and I stop and I watch it from one horizon to the other, and you hear people going by. They'll kind of whisper. They don't want to insult me. They'll whisper to each other. You see him? He's never seen an airplane before. And y'all know, there is no way one of us, there's no way, an airplane taking off, there's no way we cannot stop and watch. It's just you. It's in your heart and your soul. And you're in that airplane and you're doing it. You're doing it, Steve. You're hoping and you're praying, but you're also, you know, that's what it is. And you're in it. You have to do that. Now, people are astounded. You never get over that. And the people that sit next to me will go flying the airline. Well, let's see, I got to be done by 11. Is that time? I'll try to get focused, man. I can go on forever. This was very important for my love of nature. I'm two things. I'm nature and technology. I'm nature and machinery. That's who I am. It's what I brought to NASA, what I brought you to tonight. And so I went out and explored my world. I was in the forest at age 3, alone at night. I stretched Mom. First of all, I got 500 acres, so I just go a little further every time. And then I come back. So Mom's getting okay with this, further. And then after a while, hours, she doesn't know where I am, but it's okay, he'll be back. Then I stretched into darker and darker. So he's out there somewhere, and he's out there, you know, he's out there at sunset. Well, that's okay. He's always made it back. Then he's out there after sunset. So I stretched into nighttime. It's okay. That's a real adventure for a 3 or 4-year-old. So nature was very important. I built my own raft, went down the rivers. So I was an explorer back then. But I used to go out in the cold. West Massachusetts, very cold. It was about minus 12, minus 15 one day, Fahrenheit. And I said, Mom, I'm going out. And, you know, Mom, she never asked me. She said, you know, she never said, Story, it's cold today? No. She didn't ask me, where are you going? No. How long? No. He says he's going out. Button him up, get all the layers on. You know, my mittens are warmer than gloves. She put a safety pin on that side and a safety pin on that side. That mitten can't come off. I want to come off. She buttoned up everything. So I'm just, you know, out I go. I really love Mom for letting me go on these little adventures. They got me ready for life. But it was only the last year or two that I found out what Mom was doing. Mom was smarter than I really realized. And, you know what she's doing? I'm so buttoned up I can't pee. I can't get where I gotta get, and I ain't got the tools to get there. Mom, did you know what you're gonna get into tonight, ma'am? You know what you're gonna get about? How I can pee? Did you know you're gonna get into that? No. Well, you can go home and tell what we're talking about tonight. She knows what she's doing. I'm going to get him home. He's going to get home. I know when he's coming home, too. I can look at it on the clock. I'm getting home. So that's very important. My development is my exploration of nature out there. I was another kid exploring the beach. Now that's Little Story. So I'm Big Story, and that's Little Story. So I didn't come up in the biography, but I have 7 kids. The oldest is 50, and the youngest is 5. So I have them sprinkled in between. So, and we're working on another one too. It's not over till it's over, right? So, anyhow, and I adore this kid. I can't get enough of this little kid. What do you want to go home to? You play with mom, you play with a kid. That's what life's all about. It's just outrageous. I can't get enough of this little thing. Just running around the house, chasing her, playing dramas, narrative, all that kind of stuff. So, I did not plan. I had one marriage. I had the kids, like the oldest up in the 40s. I didn't plan to get married again. If everything's just fine. But didn't plan to get married again. Into my 70s, I wasn't thinking about children. I wasn't thinking about them. I live outside of Orlando. It's up 140 acres. I do landscape and real estate development. I'm a farm kid again. 140 acres, so I'm country, and mailbox is 200 yards from the house. And so I had a great mailman. He's a beautiful mailman. He's old, fast, smelly, suspenders, but he's very personable. Calls me when we got certified. He looks after me. So, but one day a Jeep came. Not him, not Hank. Jeep came. Well, okay, Hank taking the day off. The Jeep kept coming. Hank's on vacation. The Jeep kept coming. I'm worried about Hank, right? I worried about Hank. What happened to him? Anyway, the Jeep kept coming. So I got to find out what happened to Hank. I ran up and I came around this Jeep and it's, my God. And your mailman knows you. And she says, "You okay, Story?" I says, "I'm not, ma'am." You just can't do this to people. My heart. She's this incredible thing. It's July. It's a wet t-shirt contest. I'll go down to the lady. You know where we're going? So we're going to have fun. Did I tell you? Fun. I can't believe it. So anyway, I married the mailman. Where are you going to go from there? It came from here. What am I supposed to do with it? You put it in bed, you marry it, and have kids, right? That's the way life goes, okay? It's called a fork in the road. All right. That's a personal story. That's a little story. I was born and raised on a farm. I do run a landscaping company today. I got 140 acres. I prepare the land. I improve the land. I landscape it, plant palms on it. I raise palms, do all kind of stuff. I operate heavy equipment, track goes. I got 4 dump trucks. I got 4 tractors. I got red, green, orange. You don't want to hear about orange. You don't mind green. But I also got red. That same tractor I drove 66 years ago. It's not the identical one, same model. Have we got any red people in the crowd? You're red. You farmo? I would say, what kind? A Super C, okay, I know them. Well, M. So that's 66 years ago. I drove that when I was a kid, 9 years old. Not the identical one, but life comes around. So I'm using that. You see the disc harrow, I'm putting lawn in. I'm putting 30, 40 acres of lawn in. A disc harrow, I'm back there. So I'm operating the same piece. Life comes around. But the important thing is I got a fully operational tractor, and I only paid $2,000. You can't buy a riding lawnmower for $2,000. I got a fully operational tractor for $2,000. You know where you get those things? On eBay. Of course, you get things on eBay. I got it, hadn't been running 5 years. I flushed the gas out of the tank, out of the carburetor, new stuff in, hit the starter, it started. It's been running ever since. So life comes around like that. That's another toy that I have. As some people say, difference, yes, that's eBay too, Steve. eBay. That'll haul 25,000 pounds off-road through mud, muck, and sand, everything else, and only pay $12,000 for a machine like that. And I've had it for 12 years, and I've never been under the hood. It's turbocharged diesel. It can't fail. It doesn't have not a single electron. There's not one electron under that hood. It can't fail, that kind of stuff. God-awful, beautiful machine. So that's what I do these days. Some people believe, he got 7 graduate degrees, he does this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what my heart is right there. I can't stop myself. I'm like, watch the airplane take off. That's really nice stuff, but it's really functional. Just one incredibly beautiful machine. And I got 2 of them, of course, but when you turn in my driveway, as soon as you turn in the drive, that's in your face. That truck is right in your face. So I don't do ADT or Brinks or the rest of them. That's my front driveway. It's my front yard right there. So people will look at that, they're going to go elsewhere. You don't need to mess with that because you know the kind of people that do that stuff. Got one other thing. I got a big sign out front. It's a big sign in red letters. It says Area 51. And then it says, violators will vanish without a trace. And I also have 20 pet vultures that live on the roof. Violators vanish without a trace, and you see the vultures, you see this in the front yard, there's some other place to go. We're going to leave that one alone. Anyway, so that's six-wheel drive, of course, just absolutely gorgeous. That's my cat excavator. So I'm tearing down my compost pile. My compost pile peaked at as high as this roof, 30 feet and an acre in size. I don't have time to go into all the material that I got that from. But I've raised 15,000 palms, 15,000, farm kid. So that's only one field out of 5. And I plant those out in the landscape. That's my tree spade, the move trees when developers come in out of harm's way. You know how that works. You just back over the tree, you close it around like that, set it down, they got 11-foot blades. So that's what I do these days because I got 2 lessons for you. You know about passion. You do whatever your passion is because that'll give you energy to do it right. But the other thing is do what comes easy for you. Do what comes easy, what you like to do. Do what comes easy, do what you're good at. Do not pick something and say, I got to work on my weaknesses. Don't work on your weaknesses. Work on your strengths. Work on your strengths. This is what I'm good at. Shove it up to here. We make a difference in the world. Now you're on your own playing field. You're the best in the business. If you work on what you're not good at, you just push it up to mediocre level. Work on what you're already good at. Forget what you're not good at, you know? We're always asking people to work on what they're not good at. Don't do that. So I'm a farm been doing that kind of stuff. Well, like I said, me and the book's part of the company because I didn't do homework. I didn't have books. Just worked on the farm, and that's fine. In fact, you know, any other course, I would not be here tonight, so I'm glad here. So that's K6 Korea, outside of Pyeong Taek. That's my base there. Those 80 Sky Raiders. So I joined the Marine Corps, and they're going to make me a mechanic. Of course, they're going to make me a mechanic. I'm already a mechanic. So that's what I did. And that's a winter time, so I had a pretty severe winter time. Now, that's the first airplane I was a crew chief, plane captain on. So I started out as an electrician, instrument technician. That was one MOS. But out there in the squadron, we ran out of engine mechanics. Just a habit, he couldn't get any. And so I learned on the job to be an engine mechanic. And that was in the R3350, of which you have a cutaway model here. That's what we did. So that's another world. I wish I could do this again, you know. I wish I could live this simple life. I wish I could live this life again, but I can't. It's gone. I hope someday we get along with ourselves and we won't need to do this, but that's no time. But that's the kind of stuff that I did there. That's your Douglas 80 Sky Raider in Vietnam. Was A1A. They told me, and I started flying with them too in the right seat of the 85s. And I asked them why they did this. And there's a story. If you're absolutely straight down, you don't have to aim. You pickle it off and it falls onto the target. But I said, you know, you guys are going to forget someday. You're not the bomb. You know, you're going to keep it going. Anyway, so that's what we did. I was in a VMA 251 to start with, and then VMA 212. Well, so that's what I did. It's a very complicated engine. That's what it looks like. That's a new cutaway version of it. There is one here. Wonderful museum. We had 3,000 horsepower. But that's the thing I worked on. And like I said, I was a crew chief. I had the engine, I had the instruments, I had the electricity, and I coordinate all of the people. As a crew chief, I was given 3 airplanes. I own 3 airplanes. They're mine. They're my airplanes. And I'm the one that's accountable and responsible to send them off to war. I signed off the 300 items, strapped the pilot in, the way you went. I was responsible, accountable at the age of 18. That's what I did at 18. So I grew up very fast in that kind of world. And that's me doing that kind of work. I was very creative as a farm kid, and in the Marine Corps I was very creative in my diagnosis of the problem. But I understood right off, you never touch an airplane unless it's by the manual or the book or exactly the way they taught you. You don't just touch an airplane unless it's by the manual, by the book, or the way they taught you. There's only one way to do that. We know that world. We know what happened when a mechanic, he's got a little skin piece on the airplane, and that skin piece, it should be aluminum, and he can't order and he can't get it, but the airplane's grounded until he gets it. He makes it out of titanium. He figures titanium's a lot stronger than aluminum, so it'll do. It's titanium. The airplane takes off. Titanium won't bend. It won't bend. So it would not flex. The piece fell off. The next airplane was Concorde. It took out the Concorde tire, took out the fuel tanks, killed everyone on board, and it killed the whole Concorde program. Because titanium as opposed to aluminum. So we all know those lessons. There's a right way. There's only one way, and this aviation aerospace world keeps us honest. There's only one way how to do things. So I didn't understand that, and I followed those rules. So I left K6 and went on board a carrier. Here's my WASP. There's been several WASPs. Every time they sink a WASP, they do another WASP. So this is CV-18. That's what happens. You rename the next one, right? You guys know about that. There's been several of them. So here we are, coming on board. This is just fabulous stuff. I mean, you know. So this is just spectacular. Wish I could do this again. Now, there's not too many regrets I have in life, but I regret not flying in the Pacific. I have these things that are these dreams, you know. I missed it. I really wanted to do the aviation war in the Pacific, World War II. I really wanted to do that, sir, and I missed it. But, you know, it's hard to do everything. I tried. I enlisted at 16. You know, I lied in the paperwork. I couldn't have done World War II, but I tried to go at 16. The paperwork caught up on me at Paris Sound. They're really pissed off. They're really pissed off, you know. Look, Private Musgrave, yes, sir. At the very bottom of all this paperwork, you have signed that all of the above is true to the best of your knowledge, and you knew you weren't 17. They sent me home. They weren't really two. They liked the spirit. They said, come back a year later, okay? So I made it in at 17. But I would love to have done that. I'd love to have been an aviator in the Pacific in World War II. It's just something I've dreamt about doing. I have visited a whole bunch of those places. I go and visit them. I go and visit where the war was. So I visited a dozen of the big battles out there. It's just incredibly romantic to go to the actual places. And so you notice in my day there's none of that cable stuff that launches you. What do you call them? Catapults. We flew them off same way you did, Tom. Turn them into wind. You know, at times carriers going as fast as they can into the wind. We had the whole squadron of ADs on the back, full power, trying to shove the carrier to get going fast enough, get enough wind to go. My soul. But man, it's just great times. And this happened more often than you wanted it to happen. The pilot at least is getting out of it. And you had the Angel there. You had the Angel helicopter coming after you. It's very ironic that on the same WASP, 2 years after I was on it with the same AD Skyraider, my brother was on it. He went in the ocean, but the carrier ran over him. The carrier tries to miss you, but it hit him. So that was that. So that's the world I've been in. That's what it's all about. So yeah, I'll end up on that one. The Skyraider's going into the sunset. So that was me at the end of the active Marine Corps duty. So I went off to college and I joined the Marine Corps Active Reserve, but there were no airplanes. There was no airplanes around my college, so I drove tanks. You know, I'll drive whatever. I'll drive anything, right? So I drove tanks with the Marines, tanks, airplanes, whatever they got. But that's what I look like driving tanks, same as the other piece of farm equipment. So I got into general aviation as soon as I could after that. Got into 172. I had my 172 here. I don't know some of you. George Mary goes way back. At a 172, I started flying in Cynthiana. Then I went to Bombers in Lexington Air Taxi here with a 172 taught in it. And any picture of an airplane over New York, it means different things now, so it's not a very pretty picture because of events which have happened. But it just reminds me, I'll put it in the presentation. I used to go fly my Cessna into LaGuardia all the time. There were different days. VFR flight plan, I go into LaGuardia. And you know, it's just fine. I took this 172 all over. You're going into LaGuardia, it was just a piece of cake. And no landing fees either. You just land, go to the FBO, and there you are. So it was great times. As you know, I took up parachuting very early on. I took up parachuting when the sport first came here in 1962. I do have 800 parachute jumps. A lot of my very significant jumping was here in the Bluegrass and in Cynthiana, various shows around here. I did do 100 experimental jumps with here. We had a class project. Now, Bill Cloyd, where are you hiding at? There's Bill Cloyd. He was at Winter Grand Lab. So I had a minor in aeronautical engineering here while I was studying physiology. We had a class project to study aerodynamics of the free-falling human body, all kinds of how fast could you go, how slow could you, what's the best L over D, the human body. No one had ever done it, and we did it. I won't go into the details. We did it with 2 recording theodolites, telescopes, and myself coming down. I had like a smoked drum anerometer, you got an altitude, and a little needle, a smoked drum. So you hold this tinfoil over a candle, you get smoke on it, and then where the needle scratches it. But anyway, Bill just told me, I met him earlier, he said even the data today, what we got way back then in 1966 is within 1% of the best data they have today. So it had never been done before. We had primitive stuff. It was just a gorgeous class project that we did out at Cynthiana. So it was a good thing to do. We did get incredible data that's even valid here 50 years later. But so I learned how to do that right, and you always do it right. You follow the procedures, it's right. So 800 parachute jumps. My parachute always opened at the right place at 2,000 feet every single time. And that's what you do. So you just do that kind of business. As a paracommander, I didn't use those when they had our project. I had 2 old chutes. They're 50 years old at the time. So technology and nature, that's what I'm all about. But I was in my surgical training, as I said, here in National Academy, and NASA got together, fly people formal education. So I saw a notice, they were going to do this. And I said, my God, we got to do this again? Yeah. I left clinical training back in the postdoc graduate school to get ready when this happened 2 years later. It did happen. When I joined, you had to be a military pilot, and I was going to go and fly jets. At this point, I was a very experienced general aviation pilot. So I was a charter pilot. I was a charter pilot for Lexington Air Taxi here. I was a ground instructor. I was a flight instructor, a charter pilot. Did all that stuff. I ended up with Lexington Air Taxi. Had an ATP, multi-engine, single engine, but I had no jets, and also they sent me, it was just a beautiful year to go to the Air Force. And some of you are familiar with Lubbock, Reese Air Force Base out there. So I'm going to come home. I'm going to come home to this airplane here. Now I got started at, what time did I get started? I got started about 8, I got started late. No, what time you want me to finish? I got started, I think, about half an hour late. Or I'll finish in half an hour? Is that all right? Is that all right? Finish in half an hour or 25 minutes? So, this is the airplane NASA had. You've got a wonderful Thunderbird painted a T-38 right there. So that's going to be the proficiency airplane to keep us sharp in terms of checklist, operating procedures, being the best you can every second of the day. And the airplane's 50 years old. In this picture, it's about 52 years old now. So simple, so reliable, so low cost, so easy to fly. It's a total design triumph, been extended by the Air Force and NASA to 2025, will be 65 years old. You just can't hardly improve upon something that's beautiful and that's simple. Yeah, so that's the airplane I'm going to fly. It's one beautiful one you have there. So I did the best I could in that airplane, but when I saw the beauty of that and where it was going to take me, I said I'm going to carry a camera. That's Story Musgrave's rule 378, carry a camera. I carried a camera the whole time. So I ended up getting some some rather nice stuff. You'll see the rainbow. That's the sunset and the particular characteristics of that canopy and my circle polarizer filter. Now the book, we got a book here for you, and it's 44 years of shooting that airplane. Bob Mullen been up there for 45 years. He's been a mechanic on the NASA Northrop T-38 for 45 years. I learned as much about the airplane in the hangar. I worked on it, with them in the hangar. I ended up being the maintenance test pilot on the airplane. The maintenance test pilot does functional check flights. That's why airplane been on heavy maintenance or by specification, change engine, hydraulics controls, periodic inspection. You need to do a huge flight, a functional check flight on it, do everything possible thing the airplane can do before it's turned loose to the squadron. So I have 1,000 functional check flights in the airplane. That's just that's an unravel. No one got that. So Now, it turns out, I hate to admit it's a sin. You know, it's a total sin. I have 8,000 hours in that beauty. That's absolutely unthinkable. It's just terrible. What? In this airplane? It's just horrible. The privilege, you know, it's just incredible. So, you know, this airplane here, it's just marvelous. That thing there, a huge privilege. But I did the best I could along the way, and I hope I did that machine an honor. So we go fly like this, of course, because things could happen. Now, this kind of flying NASA wants you to do, there's a horizon. They want you to push yourself and push your airplane hard. Within operating limitation, push as hard as you can. They don't just cruise along. The harder you push yourself, the better you're going to be, and the sharper you're going to be. That's what they got the airplane for. Now push hard. But y'all know, if you fly straight up long enough, what's going to come next? So I teach these principles, you know, I teach these principles to the investment in the real estate market. That's what's going to happen, you know, if you go up straight up long enough, it's straight down next. Those people couldn't learn from us, you know, that's what's going to happen. But a lot of these photographs, you know, I'm, of course, as you know, not in that airplane. I'm the photographic airplane out here. Most of the ones I show you, I am doing the photographing and the flying. So some of my buddies, they got a little worried, you know, who's flying the airplane? I'm doing a picture like this. And the airplane, you trim it up, you can hang in there quite a while. But this is over the Gulf of Mexico. So we're really paying attention to it. You've got to pay attention. This airplane, eat altitude, it'll eat. You know, it's a mile and 6 seconds. You know, you think you're a mile and a half above Earth. It's okay. It's not okay. You got to pay attention. So two of my astronaut colleagues made inadvertent contact. You know, so that's the missing man formation pulling up over Johnson Space Center. But you know, I'm not morbid. It's just a business we all are in. So I just show you some of the beauty I got. Here you see I got the horizon just crossing through the airplane, just catching some beauty. This is my cathedral picture. It wasn't our building. I had to move. The mechanics would do anything for me. I'm one of them. So that's kind of stained glass cathedral. I had to move the airplanes in there to get the picture. So you won't see any more of them because Hurricane Ike took that building away. They moved it away and destroyed it. Now people see my book, Story of Cheating. You cheated all throughout the book. You cheated or you don't deserve it. Either one, they're right. But I was there and I had a camera. That's all I got to say. But I am cheating here because I had the mechanics do this wonderful flight line like that because that's launch pad B, and the shuttle is going to go up at night, and it's going to light up my beauties from my book. So that shuttle training airplane, I don't have the time. That flies like a shuttle. 35,000 feet down, you go into sim mode. The left-hand side of the airplane is just like a shuttle cockpit, controls and displays. 35,000 feet down. If you ask, let's say, simple for a roll, that talks to computers in the back, and that will make the airplane roll like a shuttle going to roll, not like it. So it's the best of all worlds. It is a simulator, high-fidelity simulator, but you're flying through real air, and what you see out the window is Florida and California. We're really going to land. So that is a combination, simulator and airplane, flying through real air. That's what that's about. But back to my cheating process. They're right here. So there goes the shuttle lighting up my beauties here. I call that cheating, yeah. Doing the same thing here, but the launch pad A this time. I got my beauties, I got a shuttle launch. But watch what happens to that plume. It's outrageous. Can you believe the plume did that? It's supposed to disperse. It formed a three-dimensional structure. I got T-38s leaving in the sunset, and I got that going on. So you say, Story, you're good at Photoshop. If you do internet search STS-117 launch, there's 100,000 people got the same picture. But not this picture. I got this picture. I got the airplanes. No one got that one. About 100,000 people got this plume. Absolutely gorgeous landing. Just superb, just absolutely perfect. This is aerodynamic braking, of course, to get the induced drag. Right after you touch down, you do everything you can with the nose to get into induced drag. And so I took the picture. I never found out who it was, but after years, I'm so sorry I noticed. I really didn't want to notice this. I'm so sorry I noticed, but he's cheating. He doesn't have his mask on. He took his mask off to give his face a break. But you're supposed to be flying with your mask on, right? He's cheating, so I'm going to leave it alone, whoever it is. So You don't want me in your tail. Every time I pass a control tower, I send a little prayer. You know, they looked after me. 59 years I've been flying. They looked after me every second of the way. They took care of me. So their attention to detail, they're always looking at what I'm doing, my trajectory. So they're part of the business. So every time I go by, I look at them and I say, thank you. I'll send them a little prayer. Yeah, I parked my airplane on Sunday at Ellington. That's why there's no people Sunday. I went to leave. I got in a car and I turned to say goodbye to my beauty. It's the most powerful rainbow I ever saw on my face. It's right there. It's ground to ground. You know, it's a triple, double there, the triple up in there. Most powerful and close light. Unbelievable. Now, I backed up all the way against the hangar, but I can't back up far enough, so I had to shoot twice. I shot the left and then the right. NASA did that stitch. You see, in the book, we're digital. This is 1990, so we just did a stitch. You see right there. But there I am. All I can say is I had a camera. Most powerful rainbow I ever saw in my life. So that's the book. I did own T-34 for 10 years. This is the current owner. I keep up with a current owner. So he bought it from me over 40 years ago, but that's what she looks like today. But I had it for 10 years. And I did have a sailplane. I took up soaring here, Bluegrass Soaring Association. We were based in Cynthiana. We had a Schweitzer 222. And I love soaring out here. But I got this one. It's a Romanian Lark IS-28B2. And I got a third one to come in the country. So the dealer's got the first two. I got the third one to come in the country. And in its day, now this is 1974, it was the highest performance two-place glider. So I taught soaring and all that kind of stuff. I love to soar. And I designed the instrumentation. Instrumentation in gliders is very, very important. Instrumentation, that determines not just the performance of the sailplane. Instrumentation is very, very important on your performance. And so this sailplane broke 3 world records using my instrumentation. Never know what you get into next. The soaring club I was in lost their tow plane, so I went and got a blanket decathlon to do the tow. And it's not a great tow plane. It's got a symmetrical wing. It's not as long a wing as you'd like, but I wanted to do both the aerobatics and the towing, so that's why I got a blanket decathlon. And I did air shows. Kind of amateur, you know, you go out and do the best you can. That's all you can do the air shows when it was simple enough. I love aerobatics. I taught aerobatics in the sailplane too. The sailplane aerobatics is a real art form because you haven't got the engine to pull you around. And you say, well, if you don't have the engine, you got to get going fast. You can't go fast in a glider. The red line may be 120 knots. And the other thing is the sailplane won't roll. So you have an aerobatic airplane, quotes, that won't roll, that you can't go fast in, and you have no motor to pull you around. Sailplane aerobatic is a real art form. So I became a specialist in that. But here is just being the best you can, following the list. But the rule is, you know, I had these funny airplanes. Sailplanes do aerobatics, this do aerobatics. When I go to some airport, people expect me to do funny things, because I have funny airplanes. I'm a funny person. They expect me to do something funny. Well, I will do something funny. But you know funny what I'm going to do for them? It's there. That's the funny I'm going to do for them. When I get to the airport, here's the diagram that I'm going to hit, and there's the airspeed and altitude of each part of the maneuver. Okay, that's it. You can't do funny stuff at airports, because you'll be like the Paris Air Show. You know the record they got? They've lost every possible airplane every single year. Because you know how it goes. People create what they're going to do. You've heard the words. I go flying with someone. You know what they say? They said, Story, watch this. Oh, watch this? Well, I can watch it a hell of a lot better down here. I'll have a better perspective down here. Let me off, and I'll watch you. Go ahead. Watch this. I don't want to hear them words. Watch this. Okay. Now, NASA looked into using a citation. We'd have some citations sent T-38, so they sent me to pursue that enterprise. Let's see if we could use citations. In addition, they got their advantage. We do water tank exercise for spacewalk, and then we go fly, and that's not good. So this thing will stay pressurized 24,000 feet, and it's got huge range. It's got autopilot, it's got flight directions, it's got all kind of stuff. Technology you should stay up on. So I went and pursued that, and I got my ATP typewriting in that. What was magic for me in this is, I'm kind of old school, as you know well. 100% of my training, of course, simulator. I never trained in the airplane. You all know this. You live in that world. I never trained in the airplane. My first ride in the airplane was my check ride. So I went through flight safety, I went through dairy, their indoctrination, the whole darn thing. Wow, that was neat. But I had the key to the building. I'm doing simulators all night long. You know how it goes. The examiner says, Story, this is a citation. I know you've never seen one. I said, yeah, it's a beautiful plane. Okay, let's take a check ride. My second check ride, a single pilot waiver from the FAA where I can fly it alone and train other astronauts, that don't have pilot ratings. But so that's the magic of that is. It's all simulated. It's just, it amazed me at the time. The first ride is a check ride, 100% a simulator. And so I'm at some air show out there. So I'm at some air show, and they're teasing me. Say, Story. So the tow vehicle, John Deere, say, Story. They're really trying to stick it to me. They say, Story, you can't have both of them. You can't drive both. You pick the citation or the Deere. Which one do you want? So, of course, I take the Deere, man. Okay. I am currently getting checked out in the Citation 10, just so I can stay very current in the latest kind of stuff and the latest thing, especially in terms of human-computer interfaces. Human-computer interface is a very complicated issue these days. Over 40% of all the major accidents and incidents these days are created by incompatibility between the computers and the operators. So I'm getting checked out in this. I'll never have the money to do this. I always look for money to support my strange activities. I'm always looking for money to do these things. I don't have enough money to do that, but maybe it'll come from somewhere. But I need to go through flight safety anyway, so that I'm aware of the latest technologies and stuff. Apollo Saturn V, simple, beautiful, robust, reliable, just like that T-38. He told us to go to the moon. He said, go it fast. Do it in 9 years. That's all. So the technology driven to us by the moon, we picked the simplest way to get there. Elegant, beautiful, and just grand. And here's the man that did it, an incredible leader. Science fiction, he was a dreamer. He was an engineer. He was charismatic communicator. He just did it. When you want to go somewhere, that's it, folks. When you want a leader, that's what you want. You want that kind of face. That's what you want. After he landed on the moon, we fired him. 6 months after getting to the moon, we didn't need him anymore, but we didn't know we desperately needed the man for the vision, the communication, and the presence. And God damn it, we're going. That's what we needed. You need that kind of face. That's what you need in life right there. And so when we were told to go to the moon, it only took them 3 years to launch a Saturn. Hey, we're going to the moon. First of all, we didn't allow the man to get us in space. He'd had us there 7 years before Sputnik. He came to this country at 45. He could have been easy there in 50. And they actually put ballast in his upper stages because we're going to get into space by accident. You have to apologize to the president. By the way, sir, we didn't check out with you, but we have a satellite. Yeah. They put ballast in the upper stages because he was building in more performance than was needed. Werner von Braun, Dr. von Braun. The biography of, his biography is an outstanding read. It's an unbelievable read for the creativity and leadership and how to go forward and how to make stuff happen. And so I got to wrap this up. I'm going to be all night. I'm going to be all night. I got to know him by the way I flew the airplane. So finally, when he got turned loose and away from missiles and got turned loose to do space, after Sputnik, when we told him to do it, it took him 2 months. It only took him 2 months to get there. It took him 3 years to a Saturn. Incredible project manager, a leader. Up there, what we call the Von Braun Hilton, that's the tallest office building in Marshall. He sit there, and he was ATP pilot, too. He was a great pilot. But he'd look at Redstone Army Airfield down there. The T-38s, we go into Marshall there for work. All the other T-38s, they'd be so wide on the downwind, they'd be behind him. So he wouldn't even know they're there. But he'd be working at his desk, but his desk is facing the airport. That's the kind of guy, he can't keep his eyes off airplanes. So they go about 2 miles out. They're going out forever. Then they make a nice orthogonal right turn, and then a right turn to base. Then 2 miles, just drive and drive and drive to get the thing. Every now and then, right in front of his window. I didn't know it was his window. I might not have done it. Right by his window, this incredible T-30 goes right by his window. Opposite the numbers, it's a continuous roll and turn. You're changing headings, so that it's a continuous roll and turn like this all the way to the numbers. Plop. And he said, son of a gun, that is beautiful. But after a while, he can't stand it anymore. He sees the airplane do that once. He said, okay, enough's enough. He got on the phone. He called the airport. It's Dr. Von Braun. Oh, yes, sir. What can we do for you? Find out who just landed that airplane. Story Musgrave, sir. Ask him what he's doing for lunch. Every time he saw the airplane, mechanic get and said, hey, lunch is so-and-so. It was a huge privilege. I got to know the man's dreams. I got to know his project management. I got to know his leadership. I got to know everything. A huge privilege. I got that close to that Dr. Von Braun. So this is machine here. Away she goes. Right machine for the job. Those were the 60s. Now, life got very, very complex in terms of whose vision is and leadership, and of course the technology is getting a lot more complex too. But Intel asked me to, this is what leads into what we're doing in the future, both in our airplanes, our spaceships, and everything else, is increasing complexity, for better or for worse. Intel asked me to come to them and give them a half-a-day symposium on the future of the world. What? Me? Intel? Future of the world? Oh, no, I'm not doing that one. No, go away. Come on, Story, get your courage up. Give it a try. So for Intel, I did a bunch of paintings. I painted for Intel instead of bullets at popcorn, because, you know, they can't argue with paintings. So I did paintings. But increasing complexity, there's an evolution of complexity. Supernova events create complex molecules, DNA, RNA. But then on our Earth, and all of you are living this life right now. So that's plant microstructures and the nervous system and no silicon. Integrated circuits there. So tighter and tighter combination between them and more silicon. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's what happened to all of us. And so complexity grows. And you entropy people say, Story, it's not the way entropy works. Entropy should be taking us downhill to simplicity. Well, it's not a closed system. The sun is shoving energy into Earth, and that's what makes that complexity rise. So that's what we're all living with. And I think every planet out there, same thing happening. Not only evolutionary complexity in nervous systems, but I think they're also doing the silicon world out there as well. You will find those advanced civilizations. So that happens. So then we get more and more complex for a lot of reasons. The shuttle, massively complex, didn't turn out the way we wanted because it's so complex, so vulnerable, so fragile, so dangerous, operationally difficult. But I'll hand it to it. It did mature us. Where we were in '73 after Skylight program and where we are in 2011, we are a mature spacefaring nation. We can do it. Whatever you want, we can do it. It matured us. It made us good operators. As difficult as it was, I gotta hand it. Only it could have done a space station like that. Only it could have carried telescopes up there, use it as a repair lab like I did there. So they told me in '75 to look after the telescope. They told me a story in 1975, 2 years before congressional approval. We're putting a big telescope in space. You look after that machine. You identify every possible failure it could have and be able to fix it with a spacewalk. That is to go out there in a suit, a bulky space suit, not got the same body you got, like this here. Dressed like that, you got to go out and fix that thing. So I looked at every possible failure, every single component. I started getting drawings more and more thorough, what it was going to be. So for 18 years, I didn't just go and repair this thing. I designed it. Designed it for 18 years. Bulky, but it also weighs. It's got mass. Now, it doesn't have weight. It's 500 pounds of mass. I'm going to be an agile little squirrel, move along like that. Well, I got to get 500 pounds moving and then stop it when I get where I'm going. And you also got rotational inertia, too. So a suit is bulky. It's not got your body. I got a great shoulder joint. That's the good news. It doesn't have one. So it got its body, your body, put the two together. That's the way it got to work, and in zero G, everything floating around. So I got designed a telescope to accommodate that. Came up with artist concepts, came up with computer graphics. Once I got hardware, I started playing on the hardware. That's a real telescope. I took every single piece out of that telescope and reinstalled it with script writers and photographers over my shoulder. I developed their methods. So that's what I did for 18 years of the telescope. I was flying other missions, doing other stuff too. But I looked after telescope. I've been in that machine for 36 years. 36 years I've been working that machine. There she is deployed out in space, background to Andes Mountains. Within months we found out we put the wrong mirror in the telescope. It was the world's most perfect mirror, but it was the wrong one. So the wrong one, it's not going to be focused where the instruments are. Now, in 18 years, they said, Story, you identify every possible failure, everything that could go wrong. I was not cynical enough to have a line item that says, number 370, NASA put wrong mirror in telescope. I should have, but I didn't. I'm not going to go into that error. You all need to read that error. You go to the internet, Hubble mirror accident, search. You will get a 70-page PDF, and all of you aviators, it's worth it. It's worth it to see how not to do that business. Where's the quality? Where are the procedures? Where are we? Where's the escalation? Because we don't know what's going on. So I won't spend any more time on that. I could spend half an hour, and it's an incredible lesson for all of you, just like I read all the NTSB reports. I read all the NTSB reports, not just for what went wrong, but what went right. I read NTSB because it's so nuanced on how to do business. So I got a mission, I got 13 major systems broken. 13 major things. As soon as I got up there, stuff's breaking. When you buy a new car at the dealership and it breaks before you get home, it's not because it wore out, because it was a lemon to start with. It's a lemon, right? It's designed bad, it got bad materials. So I got 13 major things broke right out of the door. So now I'm not just working a whole level, I'm working specific problems. Whatever you do in life, that's kind of face, that's passion, that's focus, concentration, the moment. I'd like to have a big hangar like this that I could turn gravity off and practice on a real shuttle, you know, a good mock-up and a telescope, be able to turn gravity off, but I can't. So I use water. It's not a great simulation, you know, in space. My suit floats and I float inside my suit, not in the water. If I go upside down in the water, I'm holding 170 pounds, my collarbone. I don't float inside the suit. So it's not good for what can I do in a suit, how much work. It's good for translation. It's good for moving around. It's good for geometry. Where are you going to move things? Where are you going to put things? Big things. I always empowered the divers around me to show me how I should work before I go in there. I said, anyone who sees a better way for me to do business, you just wait a minute. You show me how you would do it. You empower people to do it right. Now, the water's good for that. Big power tool, you know, put it on, zzz. If you pull on that trigger and you have not tied yourself down, you spin on the end of the wrench like a propeller, you know. You try that a few times. Learn to tie yourself down. I trained in the Smithsonian Museum, too. Why the Smithsonian? Because they got an engineering qualification unit. I'm worried about the metrology and the measurements. I'm worried about my mock-ups are not the same. The telescope's up there. I don't no longer have the real thing. So I put my instruments in. I brought my instruments to the Smithsonian. So I was very brief getting ready for you. But here we are in this incredible airplane, vehicle assembly build. That's the Hubble crew still taking pictures arriving there. And that KSC. And this was about. Going by your vehicle, there's your vehicle on the launch pad. This is a privilege I've had, the kind of playing field. That's a bird's eye view, vehicle assembly building, pad A, pad B. And your vehicle left California, and here she is arriving in Florida. This is just spectacular what goes on with the technology. Look at this stuff. T-38's down there, Banana River. We're going to just stack that vehicle up, take it out the door. Now this is gorgeous, man. This is what it's about. The space flight is big and it's just beautiful. That's a wonderful silhouette. It's an Atlantic sunrise, you see, going on there. So there they are on the launch pad. A nice sunset. We go fly here. I was visiting my ship a night before. I go out there at night, if that's what it is. Then I go swim in the ocean. I go swim in the ocean because I got to get in contact with Mother Earth, you know. But before Hubble, I'm swimming in the ocean. I check on mission control where Hubble was. They say, yeah, you're going to see it. I said, here, you know what you're going to see it come from here to there. Sure enough, I'm swimming in the ocean. I see Hubble go just streaking across the sky. You know, says, Story, you see that thing? You're going to be there tomorrow night. It's what it's all about. It's launch day. I'm going to go by here and launch. I go down there. But let's check out my birds. I want Mother Earth. Put the binoculars on my birds so they're sitting there, symbolic for flight in America. But around the corner by the vehicle assembly building here, I'm going to go down toward the launch pad in this direction. You go by these guys here. So that's Kennedy Space Center. It's not Photoshop. It's Kennedy Space Center. So when you work down there and you go to the parking lot and even you look around, if they had a bad day, they expect you to improve their day, you know, along the way. You know. Best picture I got is Troy. He's been with me for 30 years. You see that? That's what that's what our business is about. That's what we do, Steve. That's what we do. That's our business. That is the intensity and the human communication, the authentic, straightforward communication about what the world is about. Troy went for 30 years with me. He put me in Apollo. I trained at Apollo, back up on the Skylab program, all the shuttles, water tanks, vacuum chambers. It's that. He was my suit tech. He looked after the suit, the helmet, the gloves, all my survival gear, parachute, the whole thing. That's what it's about. Every time we did anything, we just tried to push the bar a little higher. How can we do this better? We always push hard, do it better. So that's what it's about. That's one of my favorite launch pictures. It's embedded in nature. So there's no technology, just the humans reaching for the heavens. That one, of course, is pure technology. And electronic stills, they really kind of catch the motion of things. And so this one was sent to me by a fan. It's an amateur photograph, but man, it just gets you to reach for the heavens. That's a Vandenberg plume. So plumes they just show you what the air currents paint themselves. We in space now. We're going to go chase after the Hubble. Now, you know this guy Friedman? He's an incredible photographer. This is us, a silhouette of us moving across the surface of the sun. He got to be in the right place on Earth, and his timing has got to be explicit. His name is Friedman. So you know Friedman, solar, shuttle, solar, International Space Station pictures. You get him on a sunset. And so here she comes, 6,000 miles. I ran the rendezvous on personal computer. You can't scar the shuttle system. You can't mess with it. It's got to do the entry. So what you do is you tee off the data stream. You get that data into a personal computer, run the solutions, and then put it back in. So you don't mess the shuttle system, but you're able to do it with PC. So we've caught it, got in the back of the bus, getting ready to go to work. Congress said, if you don't fix that thing, we will not continue to approve space station. Space station take 100 spacewalks. They got to know in a complicated spacewalk you can do what you set out to do. And so NASA embarrassed about the mirror. The other 13 failures should never have happened. But you know, am I feeling any pressure? No. I'm going to do the dance. I'm a ballerina, opening night to ballet. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm a figure skating and music about to start. That's what I'm going to do. That's what you do. Make every motion perfect. But what I do bring out, there's inspiration. The inspiration I bring out is what I do with the kids at Space Camp. 800 kids come in there, and they got the mission spirit. They're going to be assigned a role. They're going to do it. They're going to learn what they got to learn. They're going to do it. Now, so here's just like you guys do, your whole emphasis is not only archival, but your emphasis on what you're going to do for the kids. You know, what you're going to do for the future, what you do for the inspiration. Allison Barker, a country kid from Alabama. And so she's my inspiration. It is that kind of process. You know, it's that kind of process. That's why I take out the door. I take out the performance out there. They're stealing my thunder with a new film on Secretariat, but I go to hug this horse. I used to go to Claiborne Farms. You know, it's your world. I went to Claiborne Farms, Paris, Kentucky, hug this horse. Farmhands look at me, my God, he's here again. Got to hug his horse. But you know what the real lesson is? When you leave, you look the horse in the eye and you say, it is for you that I live. It's for you that I live. And that's how good I'm going to try to be. That's my inspiration. That is my inspiration. You look the horse in the eye, sir, for you I go forward. And it's not horse racing, it's not space flight, it's not aviation. It's pushing yourself and being the best you can in whatever it is you choose to do. You push it to here. That's what it's about. So, now that's what's going on, that incredible horse. This guy was born and raised in a place with no hope. She's from Siberia. She's from Siberia. But she had a dream. And she followed the dream and she won Wimbledon at 17. That's what life's about. It's a dream, it's vision, it's determination. And it's being the best you can in the field. A few years later, it looked like this, the most perfect serve I have ever seen. This is form and its function. In aviation, we have form. We have form everywhere. What looks well flies well, but you know what happened to that serve. It's absolutely perfect. It is form and function. Now, that's what it's about. Now, I'm incredibly disappointed that I didn't get to do this. So I got the regrets of not flying in the Pacific. It's a huge regret because of the aerodynamics, the absolute beauty of just soaring off, you know, going on like this. But, you know, the opportunity didn't arise. But I dream about doing this, and I've sat next to him on the bench. I was there last week. I sat on the bench. They're next to me. It's okay, Story, here we go. Away they go. I just, you know, hell, I'll jump in with my boots. Okay, that thing. But that's a big regret. I would just adored. What? I would love to have done this. Just love to have soared the way they do. But anyway, so he's hit 800 feet. 2 2/3 football fields. Just to go and just fly by yourself down the hill. So his L over D, you know, is better than the slope. The only reason he has to stop at all is because they start rounding the slope. You know what I'm talking about, the L over D of his path and the L over D of the slope. He's better than the slope. He doesn't have to land. It's only when the people building the hill say it's time, so they start picking the hill up. So we're talking some You get that, Steve? We're talking some fun aerodynamics, but it's true. His L over D is better than the slope. So I'd like to have a big mountain, you know. I'd like to have 15,000 feet. And I'm just a little better. Anyway, so I'm there working out in Hubble. Here's the real team mission control. I love and adore them. I want them up there. I want them looking after me, the best in the business. They simply bring out the best expertise. There's a 1,000-pound camera, but it's got mass. So I don't even hang out with the fingertips. I just move it with fingertips, just move it around like that. That's where I was able to fix the mirror in the telescope. American engineer, Munich, Germany. The showers in the U.S., for the most part, you change the stream where you point. But in Europe, many of them, you can change the position of the shower head. He's not used to this shower. He's doing this with the shower head and said, that's why I'm going to fix Hubble. And that's the way we fixed it. 5 pairs of articulating arms. An arm comes out, quarter-size mirror. That one will catch aberrated light, reflect to that mirror, which will send it to another instrument. I helped him package his idea in my box. So I was able to fix the aberrated light in 5 other instruments. Here's the solar panels. I was supposed to roll up like a blanket and bring it home. You see, it's broken. The solar panels are horrible. They went into the sunlight and they expanded, and they shook the telescope. And we couldn't point while they were shaking. So we lost about 15 minutes of pointing because their solar panels shaking. We went in the dark side. They contracted with the coolness, shook the telescope again. We lost a half an hour pointing every rib because solar panels shaking. What's the problem there? A solar panel, you put it out there, collects energy from the sun, converts it to electricity. They didn't test them in the sun. A solar panel, you didn't test it in the sun. Okay, don't do that. You have to test things in the operation they're going to be in. So, but this one broke itself. Broke itself. I had to leave. I just left it. There you go. We flew away from it. Okay. I put the new ones on. They wouldn't come down either. Put the ratchet wrench. I took care of that. Went to close these doors. Only a couple of surprises. Big 10-foot doors like this. I closed the 2 doors, but that latch is 4 inches higher than this latch. So I can't do the latch. See, that one's up there, this one down here. I saw the scratches off the screen down here. The galls on the doors. I got back home on the ground. What's with the doors, guys? They said, Story, we couldn't close them on the ground either. I need to know that, guys. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. We had a special alignment rig that held them in alignment while we closed them. You didn't give me one of them. But I had to come along. You know what a come-alongs in the back of your truck on a farm? The straps, this business? I put 2 come-alongs in a shuttle to close shuttle doors, but I did have 2 of them. So I said, hey. I asked flight director to do that. I only need a pound, just 1 pound. Jeff up top, me at the bottom. I held it so when I came in alignment, my finger could be near the handle. I took care of that, so I'm done. It's time to come home. We're deploying the sunset. That's the sunset you see right there. Off she goes. This is 18 years ago. You know what Hubble's done. Talking to President Clinton. For me, it's melancholy sadness. I lost my baby and I came back. I didn't come for the victory. I came to be on the playing field, doing what I could, but I lost my baby. So my baby's gone. That's that. So I've done Hubble. I will be done in 5 minutes. A quick celebration of 0G. That's my astronomy mission, but I was on Coke and Pepsi wars. So you know what Coke going to do in space? You got a glass of Coke. You think the fizz going up? You think fizz going to go up? A glass of Coke? No. It's not going anywhere because no density, you know, nothing different. But I ran their experiments. I say 1 can for me, but I can't take the Coke out through their valves. That'll mess up my experiment. I took the whole bottom of the can off with a can opener. So I got a can of Coke, just for the video for the schools. I got to look stupid. I'm trying to pour the Coke out of the can. It won't come out, right? The Coke is not, because I tip it over, it's not coming out. There's no gravity. So I went, yeah. I snapped the can off the Coke. And the can here and the Coke here. So that's 12 ounces of Coke in space. That's the Coca-Cola. The fizz ain't going nowhere. But, you know, I just look at it, but it's getting big. It's getting bigger and bigger. The fizz doesn't go anywhere. More fizz, and the fizz doesn't go anywhere. So I got to do something about it. So I got to get my straw to get drinking it down. My buddies are starting to worry. That's flat Coke, bubbles up my nose. It's not going well. So what I had to do, I had to spin the Coke up. So centrifuge itself. This Coke is spinning itself. So the flat Coke is out there and bubbles up the best Coke in the universe. You put your straw right there. That's how you control the Coke. Okay, quick celebration Earth. We come home. Florida and Cuba. We got to get along. The incredible blues, 8,000 feet deep. Incredible blues. Here's the pyramids from space. So that's Cairo. Here's the pyramids in space. Now it's high sun angle. You can't see them with a naked eye, but you can see the shadows. So if I have a low sun angle, a long shadow, I can see that with a naked eye. And that's Mount Everest, tallest mountain on earth. A wonderful glacier coming out of the Andes. That's sea ice. There's no clouds. It's the wind, the ice, and the waves make those kind of patterns. Can you believe the regularity of sand, though? That wind and sand would do that. There's Mount Etna. Rabaul was very famous for World War II, that volcano there. The Galapagos, just like Mother Earth. One time sterile molten ash, by seed must see life come. It does what it does. That one's in the southern hemisphere. That's why she's going clockwise direction. Typhoon Uri is 205 miles an hour. Now, you know what a solar eclipse is. The moon sitting over the sun. I take that picture, but I turn toward Mother Earth over here. See, that's your eclipse on Earth. So these people have an eclipse. That's a perspective you might not see. We take a sunset, go home, finish up. So these are what space sunsets, very, very sharp. They happen very, very fast because you're going 16 times faster. That's how fast they happen. So then the aurora comes. It's unbelievable, 100,000 miles, pink and green. It's just outrageous, shooting up and down. But now we got to come home. Incredible flying machine. This time into Florida. I went to California for it. Home sweet home. You think about all the people like yourselves did it right. They took it on a journey. They kept it safe. They did the best they can. They're going to turn the thing around, and away they go again. So this is before I fixed it, and that's after I fixed it. So that's Galaxy M100. I've forgotten I had any part in it. I just celebrated the beauty of the universe, and the Nobel Prize of Physics last month, that was won by Hubble data. That's what the person used to find the expansion of the universe. So I'll take you on a 1-minute journey out there. Mother Earth is an incredible jewel floating in the ocean of space. The magic of this is a single photograph. The moon and Earth, that's a single photograph that Voyager took. And that's a silhouette of Venus moving across the surface of the sun, you see. And if someone's taking pictures, I'm going to give you the PowerPoint, ma'am. I'm going to give you all these files. You can take pictures. I'm going to give them to you, too. Yeah, sure. So I just want to let you know I'm going to give you high-res files. So that's Saturn. Those are Hubble pictures of the planets then. The sun is an outrageously beautiful thing. Star birth in Orion, billions and billions of stars, star death. Star death creates some of those beautiful stuff. You think about the star trillions of miles across the universe, she's finding out of fuel, and that's what happens. But these supernova remnants, that's the art form. The Veiled Nebula, looking at 2 trillion miles into the land of galaxies. We took the Hubble and aimed it where there was nothing. We aimed at what we thought was absolutely nothing. No ground-based telescope to see anything. We took a long exposure. What do you find? It's another 2,000 galaxies. Wherever you aim the telescope, it's another. You can't miss. Wherever you aim it, it's another 1,000, 2,000 galaxies. I counted every one of them, so I guarantee it. There's 300 trillion stars in that photograph. There's 300 trillion. That's the estimate, 300 trillion. So that's it. Now that's you and I. That's our Milky Way galaxy. So that's what she looks like when you're out in space. It's very sharp. So we're on a spiral arm out here. We're not outside it, of course, but that's what she looks like. So that's you and I. The Voyager satellites, they have left. They've been out there for 34 years. They defined the edge of the solar system, and they have departed. So we turned one round backwards before it left to look at Mother Earth, and this is Earth from 5 billion miles. That's you and I from 5 billion miles. We are all on a cosmic journey together. We are cosmic travelers. That's the dust plane. They formed our Earth, they formed the sun and all the planets that are around us. So Walter Cronkite on the beach at the launch pad, what do you say, Story? What can you say about all this? First of all, I'm incredibly privileged to have been on a journey, to have the opportunities, to have the challenges. There's all kinds of other people could have done it. Secondly, I was allowed to get the job done. I could have been stopped. No matter how good a plan, no matter how good I could have been stopped, I was allowed to get the job done. And thirdly, it is not over. Spaceflight is a quest for the universe. It's a quest for the meaning and the hope of the life that we got here. And life here is the quest to be the very best that we can and to continue that search with optimism and hope, our feet in the ground and our head in the stars. And remember that all we do and all we seek, we do all of that simply because it is there. Again, thank you so much for being a fantastic audience and bringing me here tonight.